In the last few years, the city's internal controls and accounting practices have come into question, as been reported by the Lawrence Journal-World. For example, in 2017, an audit found that approximately $700,000 worth of lease payments went unbilled and uncollected by the city. A 2018 audit found that $65 million worth of adjustments were needed to be made to bring the city's books back into compliance. Earlier this year, the city discovered it has been incorrectly taxing as many as 2,000 solid waste customers. And this past week, the Lawrence Journal-World reported that the city is currently looking into why the Water and Sewer Department reserve funds have approximately $17 million more than expected. As a city commissioner, how will you go about helping to restore the public confidence in the city's internal controls and accounting practices?
That's an easy one. No. Well, I mean, I think, I've served in several different roles in which I deal with lots of money. I'm the managing partner of Stevens & Brand, a law firm. Here in Topeka, we have 21 lawyers and 55 employees, and I handle all the books for that law firm. But I've also been on the Ballard Board, Family Promise Board. I chair the St. John's Finance Committee. I've been on many boards. And I think as part of that, I've spent a lot of time looking at different finances, some nonprofits, some government, some for-profit. And I think, it's a complicated issue that I think we have to, as a commission, have to be able to assure the public that we're looking at those. We ask the tough questions. We ask the tough questions before the general world asks the tough questions. And I think that's the way we have to move forward in building that confidence.
Yeah, so I think similarly, my experience serving on church boards since I was a youth, and then also my work on the Extension Council. We're constantly looking at budgets, so I'm pretty familiar with those things as well. I think too, when I go door to door, I've run into a few city employees, and they've expressed to me some frustrations that their voices haven't been heard all the time. And so in our platform, we have unquestionable support for city employees to unionize. And in that way, I hope that city unions can also be a partner for accountability and holding our city commission and our city manager more transparent and open to the public.
Hugh, I think you maybe forgot what the auditing costs this year also cost us $15,000 more for that auditing firm to balance the books out. So that's $15,000 that could have been used elsewhere. How do we fix it? Working with the city manager. Thankfully, we have a new city manager, Greg Owens. He also got his public administration degree from KU. We have that in common. That's going to be a nice thing. He came from a community that I believe probably manages their books a little bit better than Lawrence. The techniques that we're using in Lawrence work probably pretty well at the federal level, but we have too small of a budgeting staff to be able to wrangle all the transfers back and forth. That's tough. I've managed budgets up to $2 million. I've had money in my hands I had to distribute on deployment in Afghanistan. So I really understand how to be a good steward of federal funds, of taxpayer money.
I want to actually go ahead and agree with Rob. I think the new city manager is going to be a huge change, although I'm very grateful for some of the inefficiencies that the previous city manager was able to find. I think when we talk about the budget process, we need to give it more time than we have been. And I'm going to do a little pivot here, like a lot of other people. That to me is going to be about a change in the way that we do our meetings. For one thing, the number of meetings that we have in a month. And how the agenda is set. We've been hemmed in occasionally by time and not being able to actually address issues within the public eye in the amount of time that was necessary, and I think that is one of the contributing factors to not finding things in the budget that we might have found had we given it more attention. I think if you find 3 new commissioners that work together, you'll be able to get that accomplished.
I served as an IRS agent for 32 years. That experience has been useful for me in this job as a city commissioner. I found out last year and was able to establish that in October of 2014, the city of Lawrence failed to make a bond payment. That was a huge surprise to me. I don't believe that it was publicly known. To me, that's the low point for the city's finance department. Since then, we've become more transparent. We're doing a better job. When we make mistakes, we talk about them instead of saying, just move on. So the mistakes that we make, we're transparent about, we're learning from them, we resolve not to do them again. We have an excellent city manager, as has been noted. We also have a new finance director who is an excellent employee. So I am very hopeful about the future of this department. Thank you. Oh, rotating the auditors too, that is huge. And that's one of the reasons we had the extra 15,000 this year. So first time in memory, we rotated the auditor.
We'll start with Mr. Hensler.
I mean, if you don't want me to answer it. Okay. But sure, you're right, it is nice to come last. You know, I want to echo what Rob and Courtney said. You know, we have a new city manager, and Mr. Owens has done an amazing job in my observation so far, so I like what I see from him so far. That being said, trust is broken right now. I mean, it's really hard to boil it down any more than simply saying the people in the city don't necessarily trust us with our finances right now. You can only have so many stories year after year after year of finding money, forgetting to bill things before that trust is broken. So I'd like to see a complete top to bottom financial audit done so that we're not left holding some other mystery story that'll pop up in another year. I do think rotating auditors is important. I do think there's a lot of things we need to do, but step one, top to bottom financial audit, just to know exactly what's on the books, because I don't know if I trust what's on the books right now myself.